think a lot of the times when people talk about generational healing, um, the immediate thought is I blame my parents for everything. And for me, generational healing was learning to understand what was working and what was not working with my life and with those around me, and really understanding that what wasn't working was causing us not to have the relationship that like I really wanted to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so that realization of that was, okay, what do I get to stop? What toxic behaviors am I creating that get to stop? It wasn't about anybody else other than me. And until I really understood that I was the generational stop, regardless of any of it, I was the generational stop. That's
Yeah,
when it really started to make a big difference.
definitely. And the awareness for me was when it just kept not working. And
Yeah.
we weren't connecting at our highest, at our best. And so for me, once I noticed, I would do the same, like I was repeating the same things you would do, or grandma or great grandma or grandfathers. It was just kind of something where, yeah, that's the premises of generational healing, but the when you're in it, you don't really know you're in it until you see what works,
Right.
like, oh, this didn't work for how long and how many generations,
Yeah.
but what are we going to do and what are the action steps we're going to take to do
Yeah.
better and be better?
Yeah. It's how we created the change because you got to go through all the practicing of what works and what doesn't work. So now we know something doesn't work. Well, okay, I'm going to show up in this conversation and try it a little bit different. Well, that didn't work, you know,
Yeah.
or it did
And
work. And when it did
yeah,
work, we started to talk about why it was working.
exactly. And Mama, it took trust. It
Mm.
took trust for you and I, because you can say, in relationships, to work on a relationship is not easy.
Yeah.
We had to, yeah, go in it, and we would yell at each other. We would laugh at with each other. It was very emotional to kind of reframe all of
Yeah.
that. And I wanted to do it with you. It was something where, even though I felt really stubborn, I felt like it was like hurdles. Like we just couldn't get it. And it ended up being just that surrender
Yeah.
to here. We're here with each other. We trust each other. What are we going to do, for each other almost? It takes two.
Yeah. It does because like I think our relationship had gone on for 24 years at that point, right? 24 years with me being the controlling and me being, having the toxic behaviors and the toxic stuff. And that was what we knew. And so if you wouldn't have stood in your truth like you did sometimes, and I want to give an example of that in a second, but like if you wouldn't have done that, I just would have kept railroading it all because it wasn't
Yeah.
waking me up. Like you standing and going, no, mom, we get to do this in a different way, and me getting mad about it and then us not talking for a while and then we'd talk again, like you standing in it and holding your ground and holding those boundaries, that was my wake up call. Like that was me. Like I wasn't happy in the moment, like I was mad in the moment, I was like what the hell, like I gave birth to you, like what are you doing, kind of a thing, right? But like on the other side of it now I look back and it really did take both of us to do that.
Yeah, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
knew, that personal journey, that inward journey, but I always knew you and I were on the same journey. We would just come at it a different way or talk about it a different way. And you were in the corporate field and I was growing up,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was the age you were when you had me,
It's true.
so it was really that learning and growth experience and going into solitude, going into my darkness. Why did I, go down the path that I went down? I could have stayed in the light and with the angels, but there was something about going into the underworld. And I didn't take everyone with me to the underworld. I said, hey, I need to go in and really do this self study and understand
Yeah.
where this stuff is coming from, because I did blame you, or I blamed my dad, my issues with my parents, but it wasn't you guys, it was no one else's fault. And when you talk about the accountability, that's when once you receive that accountability, you realize maybe your ego had told you
Yeah.
whatever story that it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And so it's really refreshing to know that we've done the work. family wise, work wise, we're doing the work, we've committed our lives, we've dedicated our lives to do this work. And a lot of people, coming in or meeting us or seeing us, they don't know who we are. They don't know what we've been through, and why we've dedicated our lives in the way that we have.
Yeah, it's the why. I want to talk about the why too, but first I want to talk about that solitude piece because it's the example. Like you'd call me and you'd be like, just so you know, I'm going into solitude for a month. And I'd be like, you're what? Like, what do you
Yeah,
mean you're going into solitude for a month, And this is where we would go like this. And because I didn't understand. And not only did I not understand, Courtney, but I wasn't willing to listen to a different way. My ego, what you said, my ego was so big that like I thought I knew it all. I thought I had the right answers. And when I started listening and going, "Oh, that's what she means by solitude." Oh, I get that now. Because in my head, solitude was bad. Like you're going to go be on your own. That's terrible. Why would you even want to ever do that? But when I started to listen to, now I take my own time for solitude. Now I call you
exactly.
sometimes. I'm like, "Hey, just so you know."
Exactly. Yep, the divine
So
example. Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
had to go through it because that was my truth.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. So I acknowledge you just like I sit back every single day in awe of you because even at that young age, you stood so like powerfully in that truth and so powerfully and no, mom, this is how we're going to do it. And it's what created the change. So I
Yeah.
acknowledge you for that.
And
It's what makes
for
you powerful you.
Thank you. I love you. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you. And for people coming in and meeting us for the first time, or watching us through the social media platforms, it's really important for me to express, that yeah, we've done the work, but we're continuing to do the
Oh
work. It's not just like done, we continue every single day to do the work. And so it's not just like we're not feeding you this like pill or course or class to make everything better. It's an awareness. It's about being present, in our individual missions and our soul purpose, but also, collectively and together. And in my heart, I love working with you. I love, every day that we get to do this work. And again, it's not always easy. We
no.
get to be present with the people who are going through it. And I've learned to hold that space with so much grace and unconditional love that maybe I didn't have when you and I were practicing and going through it. We
Yeah.
had gone through so much trauma for pretty much my entire life. So,
Mhm.
when I learned to tell my truth and stand in that truth, I might have been a little fiery or a little fierce in that because I had been suppressed and I had held back, for so long or for most of my life. So,
Yeah.
at this point, learning, and I see it as an evolution. We're evolving. And even, when I was a child, I would feel, see, sense things that a lot of the adults didn't see, or a lot of my like the children around me, they didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And now, because what I've gone through with you, I have the confidence that maybe if somebody else doesn't see something or feel something to be true, that I do, I can at least communicate that and stand in my truth. And whereas before, I didn't do that, now I can kind of see the people that are holding their truth, and on the same mission as us. I'm really noticing that there's, people here on earth that are just here to party and go through those generational, things, and they don't care. They're going to just keep doing, what they've been programmed to do or what they've been told to do, and they will miss out on really becoming their true self, And so we're here to really remind people and hold people that there is more to life, than just the busy rat race or the yelling at each other, the
Yeah.
complications. Like there's so much more love and life to live. And that's what I really feel like I've gotten to receive now is, we've gone into our rock bottoms or our darkest days or, our old patterns and habits. But now when those things show up, it's that awareness. And it takes, maybe a minute or two or an hour or two to get over things or to
Yeah.
reset. That's why we have our reset retreat, because we get to
Yeah.
teach the people the tools that work. We did
Yeah.
the 1,000 things that didn't work.
Yeah.
So
Laying
here
on
are
the
the things
bathroom
that do.
floor for 4 months does not work.
Yeah, that is not in the program or
No.
course. you no
But it's what happens. I mean,
exactly,
and
it's
if I
real.
Yeah, I mean, if I, we can laugh and I choose fun, I choose being happy, right? But if I
Yes.
look up and out in the world right now with everything that's going on, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of
It's
energy out
disturbing.
there. There's a lot of
It's
disturbing stuff that's
devastating.
happening
Yeah.
right now. And so like the work doesn't end. Like that's what's coming up for me right now and where I want to go. The work doesn't end, even though, when all this went down for us, when we first started this journey, it was 10 years ago. It was 2015. 10 years ago it's been now. And so for 10 years practicing this work, and I got to tell you that still to this day, there are days when, I might still be on the bathroom floor for a day. It's not 4 months anymore. It's not 50 years anymore, but through the process, you learn to reset your nervous system and reset truth and come back to groundedness and center. Those are the tools that I didn't have. It's why I do what I do now, Courtney. It's why we do what we do now and what we're creating, because there are tools out there that support you to live a joyful life. And why wouldn't we understand that? And why wouldn't we work through that? And so,
Because we're talking about how, devastating and disturbing the world is. And that's kind of the spot where we see this 3D, the third dimension, where everything is chaotic, it's hectic, it doesn't make sense, it's confusing and chaotic. So we're really moving into this higher consciousness. And the people that we work with, the people that even just our retreats alone, the people that you coach, they come in and they're vulnerable. They get to surrender and say, hey, this isn't working. I need help or I need assistance. And, you go through that just like you and I have gone through that period where it's pure surrender. It's
yeah,
okay, this isn't working. Let's find something that does. And, through the decade that we've been doing this work together, but in the last, 3 years or so, I've been watching people, and it takes 1 to 2 to 3 years sometimes to do a full nervous system reset,
it's unlearning everything that you've learned,
Yeah.
relearning.
So you get to be patient. We get to be patient with each other and with ourselves. And yeah, we're going to have good days and bad days, and not everything's perfect. But the people that used to come here and, are you okay? And they'd grit through their teeth, like, yeah, I'm fine. By the end, they're singing and dancing and leaving, going back into their realities and becoming that
Yeah.
huge, powerful soul that they've always been. It's not that, just it's this switch that gets to be turned back on. And I've been able to witness that a few times now, and that's really what gives me the hope, for our world, is that there are powerful souls here. There are powerful humans. The people that are
Yeah.
listening to this, they're powerful, but there's still that quantum leap into that unknown that they feel connected to. But like with you, when you took that leap, from corporate, a lot of people at the time when you were in it, they didn't understand it, right? Fast
Yeah.
forward however many years, you're in your purpose. You're doing what you love. And so it doesn't matter what it looks like to anyone. This is your journey. This is our journey. But we get to support each other in the decisions we make, the shifts that we make, because we all should be deciding to do stuff that's for our better good, and everything that we are offering and have in our services are for that. It's very much for people to be held, in their messiness, in their darkest days. But then we don't just stop there. We keep going. It's almost like a lifetime thing that we've been curating and cultivating.
Oh, it's so amazing. I mean, what I hear you saying is theory versus embodiment, right? And I think that when I look back, the first 50 years of my life were all theory. Theory, learn, 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 get the certificate, get the thing,
Yeah.
get the schooling, get the education, get the consume, 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 consume,
Yep.
reach, 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 and what I've learned through transformation in the last 10 years and through the tools that transformation supports with is that it's an ongoing thing, right? Transformation never ends, but it's about embodiment. Like I
Yeah.
didn't need another course. I didn't need to go get another certification. I didn't need to read another book. Nobody needs to read another or listen to a podcast. You get to embody it. Find what's not working and put a plan together and embody a different way to show up. And when we embody that different way to show up, we get different results.
I giggle because we are literally expressing our story too. Is
Yeah.
we learned these tools, but then we still hadn't practiced them. So we had all, you know, the PDFs, the workbooks, like you said, we had all of this stuff, but it's about putting it into practice and embodiment. And we kind of went into our own corners for a little bit. And again, this is okay. It's okay
Yeah.
because you
Wasn't at the
need that
time.
time and space. Yeah. But we got to learn, you know, what our purpose was, what our vision was. And I really want to kind of go into our vision here, because a lot of people, even our updated visions, I feel like we're growing and expanding at a
Evolve.
rapid rate. And so it's really bringing people along and for them to understand our vision.
Yeah. 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 So what is your vision?
Yeah.
You want me to go first?
And yeah, for me, I'm just the two words that we had down was the connect and support. You
Oh,
know, that's vision over here with the crystal clear connections is to connect and support.
yeah. Yeah. My vision, I remember talking to you about my vision, like even before 2015, like when you were in high school, for crying out loud.
Mhm.
My vision was to create brick and mortar. Like it never, like this was probably before we knew we could do all this amazing stuff online, right? But it was this brick and mortar, large facility that would house all the modalities. So, sound healing, Reiki, massage, coaching, workshops, mental health, like all that stuff, right? Like, so it would be this one-stop shop. So if my girlfriend group and I wanted to go sit by a fire and get a massage and have a girls' night, there would be space to be able to do that, right? Like in a healthy way. In a healthy way. It was like this alternative to let's go out and party because it's the only thing that we can do to hang out, to let's create safe, sacred space where people can come and heal, where people can come and reset, where they can come and forget the world's issues, where they can just come and be and create community. And so that was always been my vision. And, I just like most people, it was this vision, it was this thing out here that was really big and lofty. And I was really comfy with where I was at. I was really, really comfy with where I was at because I had a great title, I had a great income, everything on paper said my life was just this amazing, magical thing, right? And inside, I wasn't okay. Inside, I knew that there was something more, like not more in a bad way, but like I just knew I wasn't in my purpose. I knew that there was something missing. I knew that like I was like, well, I was asking all the questions. And then about that time is when I got the call from you. And and you went to rehab and came back from rehab. You went to drug and alcohol rehab. I call it like emotional boot camp rehab kind of a thing. And what's really cool about the vision, the original vision, is that today, 10 years later, we have a retreat center in Florida on beautiful tropical land called the Motherland that houses billions of tribes and is spiritually this magical space that you've created, Courtney. And and that's our space. That's our space where we get to bring people in and hold them and support them in the transformation and then send them out into the world wrapped in support as they embody, as they implement, as they try new ways, as they create their vision, as they fulfill their vision. It's the support that wraps around. It's what I was missing it and didn't even know I was missing it, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
So people are missing it and they don't even know that they're missing it. And when you get a taste of it and you're like, oh my gosh, I can just be authentic and nobody's judging me. Oh my
exactly.
gosh, I can be neutral about that and not have to freak out on that. Like, oh my gosh. And the tools start to like, oh my goodness, today I'm happier than I was yesterday. Okay, that's good. Okay. Oh, I mean, like, oh, it's even better. Like, and pretty soon, all the good days outweigh very few bad days when it was totally the reverse in my life before because I was making it all bad. Woe is me. Look at my life. When the fact of the matter is that at 20 years old, I got pregnant with you and it was God knocking on our door going, let's go.
Mhm.
Let's go, you two, because you've got a mission to create and you've got You've got a new world to create, and you get to show the way. And so everything happens for a reason, right? Everything happens for a reason. And when we're not tied to what that vision is, I just have let it flow.
Mhm.
Not that it's been easy, but just little by little. We've built it a couple of years ago. We finally said, okay, let's do this together. Like, let's do this together. You have your vision, I have my vision. It's the same vision, kind of. You know, you're a powerful spiritual healer. I've witnessed it and watched it. And together, and then add Jenna to the package, right? Like, and so the all three of us, the experience that we create at the reset retreat is intentional.
Mhm.
Every little detail has a reason and an intention, all towards transformation, all towards us holding the space. Like, you can't see my hands. We hold the space. We hold safe space for you to transform, because it's a really scary, noisy, chaotic world out there. And if you don't take the time to come and do it, next year we're going to have the same conversation, and the next year we're going to be having the same conversation, and nothing will ever change. So my vision, I'll get back to it, talk about a long answer, but my vision is to create safe space where people can transform. And we do that in Florida in a 3-day retreat. We do that online in monthly Burnout to Bliss workshops. You do it in your Crystal Clear membership that you have. Like, every single day, every single week, every single month, we have created this framework of space for people to literally come and get the support that I wish I would have had.
Exactly. Exactly. That support and that connection. Because in solitude, it's great to go into solitude. It's good to have that space, but then you miss that support
Mm-hmm.
piece. And I think in our transformation, I'll speak for myself, that support I needed, and I grew resentment, to it's like the light and the dark, the demons and the angels, and at the world, so to speak. And in my own way, I kind of went towards that and went down that journey. And so the only thing I was really missing out on was that community. And so now it might seem a little out there. It might not be as grounded for people. You want to do the coaching, get your life together. A lot of people weight loss, it's a lot of physical stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
once you really understand that the spiritual is the physical and the
Yeah.
emotional and the mental, you're able to work on it as a whole. And what you're saying, year after year, if you just miss pieces, you're going to be in transformation work your entire life. But then when are the coaches or the people that are being coached, when are they going to become the coaches, and when are they going to become the trainers? I feel
Right.
like in the last couple months, we've been taking the training wheels off, and Mother Earth is like, all right, here you go, and as souls, we might not know what's happening, and we're learning how to ride a bike, so to speak, for the first time. But instead of, crying or, laying on the floor, mad at the world, for not supporting, we get to be a little vulnerable in that, and look for our tribes and look for our communities. We all have different needs and operating systems, as you teach, so we're all kind of finding our place in the world in a spiritual sense. And instead of being in it, zooming in and being very confused and being in the chaos, we can kind of zoom out and breathe together. And when you're talking about the sound healing and the spiritual work, is really about retuning your nervous system. And you and I, like you talked about in our recordings today or in our videos today, it's like finding new tools, more potent tools, healthier things. Our bodies and our minds are shifting. So
All the tools are out there for everybody. Like, whoever's listening or watching, you have everything that you need inside you already. Like, it's literally already there. It's about letting go of the control and the judgment and everything, and being able to step into something new. But you can do that. And, I've known people that go to therapy for 25 years, right? Like, I don't want anybody to try this for 25 years. I want somebody to come in, heal, and then go out and embody a joyful life for the rest of their life, right? Like, it's quicker. Transformation is quicker. And it happens in a process. It's, are you ready to take on your shadows? Are you ready to take on your blind spots? Are you ready to stop pretending not to know what's not working? And once someone is at that point, we're able to really wrap around them and go, buckle in, let's go. Because
Here we go.
it's a beautiful ride. It's a hard ride. Like, taking on your shadows is not for the faint of heart. And it's where you find your freedom.
Takes
It's where you find
commitment.
what's that? I'm sorry, what?
It takes commitment, commitment to yourself. And for me too, in my journey, it was letting go of everything that everyone else wants me to do. Talk
Yeah,
about generational healing. I
including
want you to,
me.
yeah, everyone had a story for Courtney, this
Yeah,
is what Courtney's going to grow up and be and look like and do. And none of it resonated with my truth or my authenticity. And I didn't know how to break that truth to people. And so whatever way,
yeah,
that came out is our story. And I'm not afraid to share our story anymore.
yeah.
I felt very vulnerable in my dark, right?
Mhm.
Because that dark was not my authentic self. And I'm not saying that I don't have dark. I've learned how to balance my light and dark, but
Yeah.
without these tools and without this way of knowing how to go into that in a safe way,
Mhm.
if I didn't know in my heart that you loved me and supported me, I wouldn't have kept walking, if you will. I know there's a lot of people out there. I was the same way. I dragged my feet in life. At some points it wasn't easy. And so now I get to look back on that, and really understand that I could say in my mind, I should have done it sooner. I didn't have to go through drugs and alcohol to find, my true self. But the reality of it is that we were living life together. And there's so many people in our lives that, like I said, have an idea of who we are, and what we're going to be in life. And we get to at some point stop and pause, and really look at yourself,
Mhm.
and say, is this, some of us go a whole lifetime taking care of other people as caretakers and then wait till retirement to take care of themselves and
Right.
then hold all this resentment towards everyone else because they never got to when they started finally learning how to do that. And
Yeah.
so we're really on the brink of something new. There's lots of retreats out there. There's lots of training and coaching and spiritual teachers and coaches, out there. And like you said, if you want to connect with them, then you're going to be called to them. If you're
Absolutely.
hearing us and you're getting called to us, there's a reason. We've either gone through something that you've gone through, or we've healed something that you are in the midst of healing. And there's like these keys and codes, as to coming in and receiving these things, as to, you just know you need something. And sometimes it's to be seen, and sometimes it's just to be heard, you know?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I love your story when you start talking about the whole mini me thing. We look so much alike, right? And I had you so young that growing up, this is a whole here's where I'm going with this. This is a generational stop kind of a thing. But our whole life, your whole life, like, we can't go anywhere where it was like, oh my God, Courtney, you look just like your mom.
Yep.
Your thing, right? And
Yep.
it used to make you so mad. Like, it
Yes,
make
it
you so
used to.
mad. And and even when that was happening, like, in my head, I was like, oh, Courtney's a little mini me. So she
Yeah.
must be like me. She must be like me. So your whole life, like, I treated you like me, and you're literally the opposite operating system. We look alike,
Yep.
but from an operating system, you're literally the opposite. So I don't know why that's coming up for me to talk about right now, but that was one of the generational curses that I got to break. Was I wasn't seeing you for you just because you look so much like me. And so again, when I stopped that and I started listening to you, I'm like, oh my God, you're like this amazing, beautiful person that I now get to know in a different way because I respect you when maybe I hadn't, in the past. So
Yeah, that's the healing piece of it. And the shift that happened was, what used to annoy me and trigger me before, I can actually appreciate it
yeah,
now. You
I
know, I
still
can look
cringe
back.
though.
I know.
Cringe when
I
anyone
know.
says it.
Well, because I couldn't hold a presence. I couldn't come online and be me and be Courtney without literally every comment saying, you look exactly like your mom, you know? And yes, thank you. I appreciate that. But I wanted people to see me for me, you know? And it was the same thing for you. I knew that us yelling at each other, it wasn't our authentic selves, but it's how we got to each other. And so people could be in a room with you and we could be laughing and crying at the same time, or we could be yelling at each other and people wouldn't understand it. And to this day, they don't. But that's our connection. That's you and I. You know, we're going through all of it together.
Al would always just say, how can you two like yell at each other and then 3 seconds later you're talking about what we're having for dinner? I don't
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah. Get it out. That was our process. And I think my intention
Toxic,
of yes.
toxic process. Let me just say,
Yes, exactly. My intention of speaking onto this or into this is that it's going to look how it's going to look. It's going to feel how it's going to feel, you know, and that's okay. You know, we don't judge people either for being in their light or being in their dark. You know, we ask for people to come as they are, because if you don't show up authentic, then we can't help you. We can't assist in your journey. You know, it's when people surrender and it's a self surrender.
you're a mom out there that's listening to this, and the relationship that you have with your kids, regardless of what age they are, isn't the relationship that you wish it were. Stop wishing. Look in the mirror. Stop pretending not to know and do the work, because like I can't imagine us not having the relationship that we have today. And 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 it was hard ass work to get here. And here we are. And so it's possible. It's possible for anyone. If we can do it, anyone can. And so if you're a mom and you're listening to this, just start showing up. Start showing up in the work. Start, reading and getting interested in the tools and showing up at the free events and finding the people that you connect with, because there are solutions out there. There are processes and ways to retrain your brain, to reprogram, to unlearn, so that you can relearn, to unlearn all the stuff that doesn't work, so that you can relearn, have the capacity to literally relearn what does work and what it is that you want to create. I agree with what you said, Courtney. I grew up my whole life doing what everyone else thought I should do. Like, it was just, this is what you do. This is just how you do it. And this is what you do. And even when you went someplace else, everyone wanted to tell you how you shouldn't be doing it. Right. And so nobody gets to tell you that. We get to create our own path, and it may not look like everyone else's path, and that's okay. And that's okay. And today we stand here strong, we stand here tall, we stand here connected, we stand here creating community for others to be able to do the same, because we know the depth of just the depth of the change that it creates. And it's everything that I've ever wanted my whole life, right? It's everything I've ever wanted my whole life. And I can't imagine any other way. So I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being you. If you're out there and you're still listening to this, thank you for being with us. And just know that if any of this resonates with you, we got you. We got you.
Hmm.
Bye.
See you soon.